And I am going to, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to hijack the beginning of this conversation just momentarily because there was another fireside chat that I was excited to share, but due to user error on my part, I deleted the entire thing. And I'm gut punched about it. And while that can happen, the biggest important part is there is a charity that I feature in every single one of these to get a little use VR for good. And because that was deleted, I still want to give a shout out to the charity in that real quick at the beginning here. So today's charity, everyone, is for the Robinson Malawi Fund. It's a charitable foundation that is intended to help fight cases of Burkitt lymphoma in the nation of Malawi, Africa. I encourage donations. Links will be in the video description and pinned comment. If you do donate, leave a comment, but don't put the amount. That's not important. Just using VR for good and our platform is the reason for this. This is FIA's charity of choice, and I appreciate her letting me know about this one. Sorry, FIA, for destroying our fireside chat, but we'll get the message still out there. But Stan, welcome. This is your chat, so sorry to hijack that. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me. And sorry about that issue you had with the previous one, but I hope this one will go just right.
I hope so too. I won't make that same mistake. For everyone listening, there will be a slight audio delay in this one, but the message is important. It's very minimal, but we'll make it clear that's there. We don't have a tremendous amount of time, so I do want to jump kind of right into this because I have quite a few things I want to bring up to you. But I have been following y'all for quite a while. Not just this Kickstarter project, but I think ever since I've been in VR, your name's been out there. I'll throw it up on screen, but I remember seeing a picture from you back in 2016. It's been about a 5-year journey for you guys. Tell me a little bit about then till now. What's that journey been like?
Yeah, you're right. I've been working in AR and VR for all my professional life now, but it's only 4 years. I'm still young, but I dedicated the beginning of my career to what I do now, still with my team, and I started alone 4 years ago now, and I always wanted to do a headset that could do new things and enable new immersive experiences. And today it's a team of 15 people in Paris. I'm actually at the office of the company. So if I pivot my camera, you will see our office here. So yeah, it's quite an adventure. I'm very fortunate because I think I met the right people at the right time, and I was able to first get some money to get this project going and to meet the right partners and to read the right people in the ecosystem to encourage me, give me advices. And when you're new into something, like I was new in AR and VR, and there is this kind of respect the craft that you have to get when you're new to something. And I started like that, quite low, and people helped me understand what was important in our hardware and software, and right now I'm happy to have this dedicated team to make Lynx a reality. So yeah, it's quite a journey. It's too long to tell here, but
yes.
Yeah.
I know I know you're working on a book, so when that comes out, let me know so I can shoot that out, let people know about that. But let's jump right into this because I think to set the stage for this, your headset, and correct me if my terminology is wrong, it seems to be being labeled as the first standalone mixed reality headset. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, it is. I think it is exactly that. But people know VR for sure. They know what AR is about, and we are trying to bring them this idea of mixed reality that was interpreted by Microsoft before, and they labeled that not really well on their products. So they labeled mixed reality as being HoloLens, which is a augmented reality, or the mixed reality headsets that are VR, that were VR headsets anyway. And what we're bringing is a device that can do both VR and AR, and at the same time during runtime. So we want to cover the full spectrum of immersive technologies, and it's really hard to do. And there
Mhm.
are not many ways to do that actually. How we are doing that is basically we make a we try to make a good VR headset who has two color cameras here that basically play the role of your eye, and with that we are able to make augmented reality and with a seamless transition uh, from VR.
The headset itself, I think you're right that it's the first of its kind. It's hard to do both. And when you try to do everything, sometimes it gets a little confusing for who a headset is for. And I see that question come up a lot. For your headset, there's no blanket statement for this, but who is this headset for right now? Like, what are the type of consumer that should be looking into jumping on the Kickstarter or buying this after?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's hard to label these things. They're just so new. People in the game know what this is about, but it's hard to explain to people sometimes.
Yep.
And with links, it's even more harder because since we can do a lot of things, people see to explain that saying, "Hey, it's a VR headset that can also do AR pretty well." Or other people say, "Hey, it's an AR headset that can also do VR pretty well." So it's hard to explain and to know who is it for. I can tell you for sure that it is for the developers that are going to create new experiences. Wait, let me just ask my team to.
I know what he's doing. Hey, they're all working there, guys. There's going to be some background noise. That's good news. That means they're not doing nothing.
Yes, sorry about that.
No,
It's
it's all
my
right.
fault because I didn't have very good coverage of internet in the other room, so I'm the one disturbing here. Um, but
It's good. You guys are working. We understand.
yeah, pretty small team. Not yet all the resources we need, but we are getting there.
Well, you crushed a
I-
Kickstarter. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah, I was positively surprised with the Kickstarter. So what you're seeing online is the Kickstarter is mainly for consumers and
Yep.
developers, I think. So companies are not buying the headset through Kickstarter, but what I'm seeing is a lot of interest from developers, definitely, and from early adopters as well. So it's a very positive sign that tells the market that people want our device, or at least want a device like that, that can do that can cover the full spectrum of immersive technologies.
Yeah,
So, yep.
I was watching a lot of your pre videos on the channel, things like that, and seeing some of the demos. So I saw some really interesting demos with the AR use, and I thought and we can get into both these in detail, but I thought the AR use was interesting, and you can go in more detail about it because this headset seems more designed for outdoor use as well as indoor use, which a lot of the current headsets out there, it's more inside. They're not good with direct sunlight. But then I also saw it running HalfLife Alyx, which was very interesting. But I wasn't sure if that was a tethered experience or if Wi-Fi 6 streaming capabilities were making that possible.
So the footage you've seen from HalfLife Alyx was over Wi-Fi.
Okay.
It was streaming from a PC we have at the office, running a CloudXR. But in the future, we'll be able to stream through Wi-Fi or through a tethered USB-C cable with the OpenXR runtime. So we were discussing with Steam, like the Steam VR team, how we are making this integration. And once we have the OpenXR runtime, it's going to be pretty easy to run PC VR experiences on Lynx. So that's what I'm telling people, that the hardware is there, and to do a lot of things. And the trap that we tried not to fall into was to try to do everything, but in a bad way. Like you want to do everything, but you're not good at a single one of them. So we are not trying to fall into that trap. So we made some compromises on the device, and this is also why we're working on the version 2, and even more than that. But yeah, we can do PC VR experiences through Steam VR. So we are going to be, I think, we're going to have something very attractive for gamers, for people that want to do entertainment with the headset, like gaming, but also videos, Netflix and all
Yep.
that. That's for sure. And then we'll have experiences like mobile experiences, indoor, outdoor, but having the headset untethered and not connected to a desktop. So that's the goal. We want people that don't even have a smartphone that should be able to use links. Like you don't need another device to set things up. Should be very easy from the moment you open the box. The Quest did a very good job at that. It's one of the first really mass produced devices that can do these kind of things. We're trying to get there as well. You also have to understand that we started from the hardware, from scratch, again in Europe, in France, with very low resources compared to the competition. We don't have all those billions to spare. And the more we advance in the product development, like the R&D is finished, like the product development is finished on the hardware, and we are getting in the layers of software and application. So, we are trying to set things up and to pave the way for a content distribution strategy with an app store and stuff like that people are definitely interested, and we are making those decisions now, and we'll make those decisions in the open as usual.
Perfect. I want to get a little into some general ideas, kind of the concepts behind everything, because I get what you're saying on not wanting to do a little bit of everything, but you need to do a little bit of everything right. And I think where the importance of that statement comes from is kind of the ideology behind it all. And I've been listening to a lot of your interviews, and there's been some comments that I really want to dig into because they're really interesting. I did hear one that you had a comment in 5 to 10 years, and the time is arbitrary, so I'll throw the number can be whatever it is, but in X amount of years, that we all may be wearing something on our head, but it won't look like glasses. Can you explain that comment a little more in depth?
Yeah. What we are seeing, all of us in the industry today, is a few teams, a few people in very big companies are spending billions of dollars every year to try to fit into a pair of glasses, which is a commodity, an existing object that is socially accepted
Yes.
for hundreds of years, an object that we know. They're trying to fit technology inside that to just make another pair of glasses. And I think it might not be the right thing to do. And this is how this is how we should do. Like, for example, the iPhone was a very, very different device it was an alien device compared to the smartphone with their plastic keyboard at the time. And I think that the end game of mixed reality is going to be not something that looks like glasses. That it's a wrong assumption to say that people still want glasses. I don't wear glasses. I don't want to wear them. So you will need to offer me a lot of value for me to wear glasses, and then on top of that you have to explain people where it's like glasses, all the things you hate about them, like you have to clean them, you have to take care of them, not break them, and now you have to charge them and do other stuff. I'm not sure it is going to appeal to people that way. If you offer something different, something that is new, maybe you can explain something, you can tell the story differently. And that's what we, for Lynx R1, for the device we have, we try to bring new things like the optics or the color pass-through and how we do it to users to trigger this, this novelty. Maybe I'm wrong.
I hadn't put I hear you on that, because glasses, they seem like a normal progression. They seem like they're the low-hanging fruit of something easy to adapt to, because glasses are fairly standard. But you make a good point that I didn't think about, that not everyone does wear glasses or even wants to. I use them sparingly, but I do have them. Therefore, I'm more open to the concept of that as a wearable. But to someone who doesn't wear one, doesn't really wear sunglasses too much, wears hats, like that's completely alien to you. But if it's not glasses, what is the form factor? You know, how is AR going to function or mixed reality without that form factor?
So I can only speak for what we do at Lynx, but we also see what others are doing in the industry. So you will see two main devices. If you look at Apple and Facebook, or on the other side, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. If we talk about the big one, and Lynx is more on the side of what Facebook and Apple are doing, I think, with video pass through and a lot of compute on board and all that, a more complete experience rather than smart glass wearables. So you will see the smart glasses, that's for sure. They're going to be there. I don't know if it will be a commercial success. Maybe we'll see. But I'm sure we'll have a commercial success for VR headsets that are morphing into all-in-one mixed reality headsets. I'm telling that not because it's what my product is. It's also from what I see and the investment we are seeing from the ecosystem at large with some of the companies I mentioned. So we are seeing a strong validation of a form factor that will be, like kind of like that for the first iteration, like a slim headset and something that can, on the mid long term, morph into a ski mask and even slimmer than that. But remember, it's not about the weight, it's about both how you look with it. We can talk about the vibe flow about that, and also the weight distribution. And making a headset is not like making a pair of smart glasses. There is a very huge social challenge because I basically hide your eyes, which is socially very, very hard. So you need presence in VR, you need presence in AR where you can see and interact with other people. And if I hide your eyes, it's going to be hard. So there is a lot of education of the masses as well that the big companies and maybe us on the near term are going to need to make it happen. So it's not only technical.
Is AR to you, kind of the last thing on this, is it always about, I see all the dystopian images, right? You see the image of what AR could be, where it augments literally everything in your field of view, mass information, it's just overboard. Is that really an idea where you think AR is going, or could it be a lot less information? Deal more with sounds as well, too, because we always forget about the audio part of this, where could I speak to something and get way more info that doesn't just take up all my screen? I know we can do that with Siri, but something more manageable.
Well, I try. I begin my career in Lynx by working with a 4-star general in the French Air Force who also happened to be a very good fighter pilot. And they've been practicing AR, these people, for a very long time.
Yep.
And I think AR, especially on the professional side of things, is something that needs to be displayed at the right time and at the right quantity. And what you see in movies will be very different to what you really experience. Because if we take the example of the Iron Man headset, it's great on the cinema screen because it pleases your retina with a lot of movements, a lot of information everywhere. It will just overwhelm you in real life. I'm sure.
I'm really glad you said that. Yes, I agree with you completely. It's not working.
It's a great display of technology. It's a nightmare to use. So that's for sure. And I think that's the same for both VR and AR. Don't overwhelm the user. It's not because you have the control over the field of view of someone that you should do this kind of things. Either being content or ads. And yes, it's also about Facebook. So the future is not really heading towards things like we see in Iron Man, for example. But we should be very careful about the technology that are at play here. For example, if you consider eye tracking, if I look at your eyes, it's very dangerous because I know pretty much everything about you. I know if you took drugs before coming to work. I know if you look more at men than women. So I know your sexual preferences. We know a lot of stuff
Yep.
through eye tracking, and who is going to own that data, and how is data is going to be processed. This is one of the things I'm terrified of. It's also what makes me do what I do in AR and VR right now with Lynx, that we want an ecosystem that is not tied to only one company, and that you can have any kind of third-party content and APIs on our system.
Yeah,
And
I
we don't.
noticed that in one of your interviews. It sounded you brought up a lot of the big companies like Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Google. It seemed very, very important to you that you stayed independent. It sounded like you didn't crap talk a lot in any of these interviews, but it was very pointed that the models in which these larger companies were moving forward was not your preferred model. That's kind of what I took from a lot of that.
Okay, so that's true, but it's not about staying independent. It's just not benefiting companies, like making partnership with companies that have a wrong business model, in my view, and in the views of my team as well. So there are some companies that we would love to work with, actually, but there are some, and most of them, in AR and VR today on the hardware side of things. If you look at the business model, in the end, it's not really what we all want, I think. So yeah, you could say it's about staying independent, but it's also about enabling a future where you're not afraid to put a headset on your head, because you'll know that you'll get a lot of your biometrics data and the usage of what you do with the headset that is going to feed an ad algorithm, right?
Yep.
And I don't want to target one particular company.
Yeah.
Most of them do that at the size that they're in, and so yeah. But yeah, and I think there is a market for that. I think there is a market for people that understand the underlying technologies and the underlying business model of having very cheap hardware. So there is something wrong here, and that's, maybe you've seen that in one of my videos, but this is why I tell people when you buy a Quest 2, you don't really buy a Quest 2. It's Facebook buying you, because they're subsidizing the device a lot, and they're going to repay that through the data they get from you. And you don't see that. You'll never see it.
This is going to be a super opinionated question. That's your answer on it. I think you're right. I think there absolutely is a market where people, it's there's a market. Look at your Kickstarter. Obviously, people are very, very interested. So without a question, there's a market for it. When it comes to our little Twitter tech bubble or the enthusiast bubble who looks at all these angles, to somebody who's getting a VR headset on Christmas or something like that, what do you think, in your opinion, speaking on behalf of somebody else, do you think the general consumer cares about the models of these other giants, like whether it's an ad business, whether it's a data business?
Absolutely
do you think they
not.
care?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely not. But I think they will care indirectly. I'm in Europe. We have a very strong stance on privacy.
Yep.
You see, for example, in Germany, the Quest 2 is not on sale because mostly about privacy reasons. I think the general consumer may care at some point indirectly through the politicians. If we elect people that are going to pass laws to enable more privacy conscious hardware and platforms, like what we are trying to do in Europe or globally, I'm pretty sure it will have an impact on the consumer at the end. Maybe they'll never know, but I think we need some politician stance about this issue, and this is how it will get to the masses.
I agree. I want to move on to the actual headset here and some targeted kind of focus questions on things that either people who've already joined the Kickstarter might be interested or future thinkers when they may be looking at your headset. Can we go over one of the biggest ones I'm sure you get? What is the App Store kind of situation? How are you utilizing that? What are some of your plans and partnerships that you'd like? Kind of best case scenario is always interesting.
For the content distribution, it's going to be really easy to answer to. So the best case scenario is us working with SideQuest VR. We already touched base with them. It's just a matter of discussing around the hardware and the volume and how we can license their technology. I'm sure that can happen. I would love to. And the other scenario is us making our own content distribution platform. Both can happen. I don't know what path it's going to take here. I don't control everything, especially other companies. I don't know if they will.
What hurdles do you see with SideQuest partnering up with you? What are the beats that are going to be the biggest hurdles?
I don't really know. Sure, there will be discussion around licensing, but we're really open about that. But before entering all that, they will need to test the device, something that they have not been able to do yet because we have so few devices that we cannot easily send them over yet. And as the hardware is finished, the software needs stabilization and to mature before we ship it to the consumers in beginning of 2022. So we are still working on the devices, and trust me, if I send devices out there, my engineers here, they're going to hate me. We need every one of them to continue our work. So it's frustrating mostly for me because I just want to, if I could, I would not have done this Kickstarter and just put the devices out there as much as I can.
Yeah, but
so
you're
that's my
gonna
struggle.
need that funding, of course, for the hardware. Whether it's 1,000 units, whatever, it's costly.
I think it's something people underestimate a lot. But hardware is very costly. Not costly like what you see from the very big companies that are spending billions, but you need a few millions to get things going, to get the production line, to get some quality testing. You need a lot of tooling and very experienced people. So we're overwhelmed by the positive response through the Kickstarter, and we're going to continue to take orders after that on our website. It's going to be a bit more expensive after the Kickstarter, of course.
Yep.
So my only advice to people that want to make links happen would be to order right now during the Kickstarter, because otherwise you're going to pay more next month and before the delivery of the first batches.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the pricing model for you, the pro model for business, and the special edition model is really where you're making the most off those units, and you made that clear. And the consumer model is really at this point on Kickstarter basically as humanly cheap as you can make that to give the consumers that incentive on Kickstarter.
Yeah. So so this base model is really both for the consumer and also for developers who want to just buy one, try the device, try to port their app, see if everything works. So we try to make this model cheap, affordable, and the margin will definitely be mostly on enterprise. So there is the enterprise version on Kickstarter, but there are a lot of backlogs order from companies that will make margin on, and they will need more support and more resources than the usual consumer.
When it comes to the controllers, let's talk about those. I know the controller is not part of the Kickstarter pricing, but you do make it clear that this headset is hand tracking first, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I'm maybe you've seen some of the first demos we've put out there
Mhm.
about our hand tracking. We think it's really good. It's really natural. It will be very natural to use the headset with. So that is our primary input. I know it can bring a lot of controversies, especially towards people that just mostly do gaming with headsets
Yep.
today. I understand that. This is also why we're working on controllers as well. And today we have a solution where we've been working with Finch and we are leveraging a combination of our hand tracking with a controller in hand. So the controller is 6DoF tracked by the hand tracking algorithm, and a fusion with the IMU on board of the controller. So we're testing things before production. Uh, we have some good results. We are also looking at making other controllers compatible with the headset in SteamVR. And also there is, since the ecosystem is pretty open, I'm sure that when the device will be out there, people will hack
Hmm.
the SDK and other controllers to make them compatible. I'm quite sure we're going to see a lot of that.
That's good to hear, because I was curious on, since it is hand tracking first, that was always the plan. You made that very clear. How you saw the development of working on controllers with partners, or the equation of how the headset develops with controllers, if that was a priority for the team, because you, like you said, 15 people, you have to prioritize things, and since hand tracking is first and foremost, what that priority for controller support was looking like.
Yeah, it's definitely at the top of the list of our priorities. Both hand tracking and controllers, like input on the headset, it's an absolute priority for the team. But you're right, we need to prioritize. So right now, also my message to people is, we are quite low on resources before the end of the Kickstarter, and before we get some new funding before the end of the year. So we're also working on that.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, the company will be completely different, and we'll have all the resources we need to bring a lot of software. Also, something I want to mention to you, because I'm sure you had a lot of questions about it, is what about the tracking on the headset, tracking 3D
Yep.
objects, 3D scan of the room, and all that? Um, you should know that we're working with Qualcomm on the XR2 for a long time now, for 2 years, before even they announced the chipset, the platform. And a month ago, they announced that they bought a company called Wikitude. And Wikitude is a software provider of uh, all the technologies you're seeing in ARKit and AR Core, with tracking of 3D objects, segmentation of stuff through machine learning and stuff like that. So we are going to integrate Wikitude technology in our SDK in the next few months. So our SDK not only will be able to have developers do some pretty cool apps with 6DoF and hand tracking and all that, plus they're going to use APIs to do some object tracking, feature detection, and very exciting stuff.
Yeah, so I was looking at it because I think there's two cameras for the 6 tracking, two hand tracking cameras, and those would have the field of view to possibly map areas. Is some of the things I was looking at, which is interesting. Um, this question, I haven't really seen much brought up about this, and I might be reading too much into the trailers that I've seen. But I notice you're one of the few that when you were doing your rendering, the kind of show the headset in a fun way in videos, to kind of zoom in on the areas where there's like screws and things like that, which is interesting. And maybe I'm reading into it too much, but it almost looks like the way that you were showing off some of the screws and the building parts of this. You talked about a swappable battery if people wanted to exchange it for a different battery. Was repairability, or the right to repair, something you guys thought about? Because every other headset I have, it breaks. I'm pretty screwed.
It's a very. I'm glad you asked this question. So the mechanical team, in fact, yes, did efforts to make the headset repairable. Like you can service the headset easily. So when you open other headsets, like for example the Quest 2, when you open it, it cracks like the
Hmm.
plastic will
Yep.
just crack, and you won't be able to put it together again. So on all the screws we have on the headset, we placed inserts, so you're able to unscrew and rescrew everything. So if you want to service the display, the optical block, some sensor, I don't know, like the proximity sensor or stuff like that, or even the battery, they're very accessible, and it's easier to service than other headsets. That's for sure.
That's good to hear. Especially, it couldn't have been a better time for that mindset to really be put into headset construction, because with the pandemic, everything going on, everything's backordered everywhere. Personally, I have two headsets that I use as like my two daily drivers. Both have parts that are broken that even if I wanted to replace right now, they're not available. So to see that there's some type of emphasis on even the battery, it sounds like I can use not just one specific battery that I have to purchase from one specific manufacturer, that I have options on your headset to upgrade that if wanted. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the battery is 4 screws away.
Okay.
If you want to service it, it's just at the back. It's at the back. It's really easy to access, to unmount, and to change. So I'm hoping also for people to hack around the mechanical parts of the headset. Like if they want to change the strap structure and all that, um, we'll share as much as we can about the some of the 3D files if they want to 3D print themselves modification on top of that to add sensors or fun stuff. Yeah.
That's kind of goes with the openness of everything else I've seen with you, because I know OpenXR is very big. It's on every single one of your presentations. It's very big to make it easier for developers, especially people using Unity, to transfer their experiences over. It seems like it's going to make it a lot easier for people who do make Quest experiences. If they choose to, it's an easier transition. Can you explain the importance of the OpenXR runtime to your entire team and your product?
Yeah. So OpenXR runtime is a protocol, like a set of APIs that will make it very easy for us to support more 3D engines and software, and to interface with existing application. Like you mentioned, Unity. Today, it's the only 3D engine we support. Everything you
Mhm.
see online, uh, like all the footage you see on the headset, if it's not coming from a tethered experience like Steam VR, it's usually built with Unity.
Yep.
And OpenXR will allow us to support um, Unreal Engine, Godot, other third parties engines, and also a lot of the developers out there that already built something on top of an OpenXR runtime should easily be able to port their application to our platform. So it's we're very fortunate for the Kronos group and the discussion that led to OpenXR, because it's really going to help smaller companies like us to bootstrap a platform and to bring developers in.
Absolutely. And then my final question, when it comes to just kind of the nitty gritty of what a lot of gamers especially want to hear, I used to joke around and be like, the Guardian systems are for people who just like don't know their room and don't know how to play games. But as games keep getting better and better, I'm hitting walls more if I'm not paying attention to my Guardian system. Do you have some type of system implemented on this headset, and basically to keep people safe while they're playing?
So it's not ready yet. It's but it's definitely on the roadmap. Once we finish our launcher, you're going to see our launcher pretty soon. But we will have a Guardian system for sure. And it's going to use the color cameras and not
Oh, okay.
the 6DoF cameras. So it's going to be look a bit better than some of the others. But it will be the same system. Yeah.
Perfect. To wrap things up in a bow, just as far as the headset itself, you kind of brought it up early that you're already either working or thinking about the next future versions. What are some of the ideas and things that you'd like to implement, whether hardware or software wise, on future iterations of it?
Well, I don't want to talk too
Sure.
much into that because it's it's more maybe more than 2 years away. We are only going to start prototyping things next year. Again, it will also depend on the resources we get, right? So if all the funding goes right and the Kickstarter continues to go this way, I'm sure it won't be a problem. But all the specs around field of view, resolution. I think if I do what I want on version 2, you will forget completely what is a pixel and what is latency. It won't even be a discussion. Like, you won't be able to perceive pixels on the screen. You won't be able to perceive any latency, both in AR and VR. So it will require more powerful cameras.
Yep.
With better quantum efficiency, so less exposure time and even better latency, like image pipeline. We'll bet on all the new technologies that will help us get there. But right now we're evaluating new kind of displays, new kind of optics. You've seen that the version 1 of Lynx is using a new kind of optic, and we like to try new things as well. So
it looks like a diamond. It's kind of pretty.
It's a very nice prism. Yeah.
Well, that, I think, overall as a package, I think why that Kickstarter personally was so like appealing and enticing and just fun to watch is that it really is something different, something new. I kind of put you guys in a similar category of why I was very adamant and excited about the flow, despite some of the press it got. These new innovative ideas, whether theirs was form factor and weight, yours, I mean, it's a completely first standalone mixed reality headset. I'm really looking forward to things that are more innovative, that are more approachable, that I don't have to be fully immersed in as much, but can still have that if I choose to. So I'm really looking forward to when this launches, kind of the reaction. And I do want to give this last section of time just for you to kind of speak to the audience of what you're hoping they get out of this experience, whether this headset's for them or not, because that's what I really want you to focus on, is that there's always people who are like, nah, this isn't for me. And that's cool. But I think you have a really good opportunity to show, even if this isn't for you, this is why this is good. This is why this is a step in a direction for everybody.
Okay. So there are two things at play here. There are things I can tell you why it's good, and there are things I can tell you why it's important that we have that. The things that are good on that headset is that it opens a lot of new experiences that you've never experienced, that things that you weren't able to do with a headset before, like go outside, climb stairs with a headset, stuff that no headset were there before. Yesterday we were at the French Space Agency, for example, and we want to put a link in space. You're going to hear about that more maybe beginning of next year, between January and March. So this headset opens new capabilities for everyone. With AR pass-through, we have 90 degrees field of view for both VR and AR, very good colors, very good contrast and opacity of the 3D objects in AR. It's as good as it gets in VR. And why it's important now. I think it's important that we don't let the AR and VR hardware ecosystem be just between the big ad tech companies. If you take a step back, Facebook is killing everyone, both on hardware and on software in the market right now. They are making an amazing product, but the business model they are in and the very aggressive strategy they're playing, I think is very, very harmful on the long term for the community. Really harmful. And the same is happening in China with ByteDance, which is also an ad company, which is the equivalent of Facebook there. It's the TikTok parent company. So we are seeing a lot of ad tech there trying to seize this opportunity of getting this data from us through those devices, through this ecosystem. And I think it won't be a bad thing if we have a maybe an European counterpart to that. I think Lynx is a very good candidate, and we'll continue to work in that regard as well. So it's not only about the technology; it's also about how you use them and how you deliver it to people. And I think it's important why we should support our initiative right now, and the time is now. I told that to my team. I told that in videos as well. But if somehow Lynx fails, I don't know why, but if we fail, if we are not able to deliver that headset, I don't see anytime soon another team on the planet working with Ultraleap, working with Qualcomm, like what we're doing on the edge of technology to bring a device like that won't come from all the big companies we know. I don't see a new player coming up very easily in the next few years. So yeah, I would bet on Lynx for sure. So
I like it.
Both because it's good tech. We're bringing good tech, and also because it's important and it's beyond the scope of AR and VR.
And for those who are still interested, of course, the links for all this will be in the video description. Everything links related to Kickstarter. When does the Kickstarter exactly end? So the audience knows.
So it ends on November 9th, which is also the first day of AWE, which is a AR and VR conference. Maybe we'll be there. I don't know yet. Maybe there will be a surprise. But yeah, it ends beginning of November.
Okay, so for everyone listening, beginning of November, make sure if you're interested to get there. The pricing will go up after that, and right now is the time. I'm fully behind you, Stan. I think the time is now. I am a fan of more and more headsets out there, especially all with different business models. But I agree with you that I haven't personally heard much else of anyone coming with this type of mindset. And if it doesn't work out now, I'm not sure who the next one is. So I am greatly behind you. I hope people watch this and hear about it. Please go to their Kickstarter to support them, because there literally is no better time for your wallet than now as well on the Kickstarter. And I'm really excited to see, what comes soon from you guys.
You will continue to hear about us. We're going to post more and more small videos out there on social media to let you imagine what the device is capable of doing. And thank you for having me. Thank you for putting the message out there. Again, it's important. Please just go on the Kickstarter, make up your own mind. But hopefully you will enjoy Lynx in April or even before that.
Perfect. And I know I've said it once, but links for this Kickstarter, everything, video description. If you do want to see this talk, but in smaller format, I will clip this, put it in the Eric for President Clips channel. That way you can view everything you want, but at your leisure. Stan, thank you very much again for joining. And as always, everybody, we'll see you next time, Space Cowboys. Peace.